Hello and welcome to Property Investment Blueprint Podcast. In today's podcast, we have one of our friends, a property investor, and he's also really big in the media as well. So he does his weekly, or he does twice or three times weekly Star Radio shows where he discusses a lot about property investment, as well as he's got some other adventures and investment adventures he also discussed in that podcast. So I am delighted to welcome Bossman with us today. Bossman, he's been on the property market or the investment market for a very, very long time. So I am really honored and grateful to have you in this podcast, because you're one of those who I really wanted to come on board in it, because I've seen the people you've literally impacted and how many people you've drawn into property investment. So I thought probably it's best to have you to actually introduce yourself so you can tell the people who you are, and also how you started, and also scale your property investment journey to like hundreds of thousands. So I just wanted to hear a bit about yourself so we can get our listeners to know who you are.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Rahim, for this great opportunity. I don't take it lightly at all. I see it as a great privilege to share, and always is good, is much better to give than to receive. So that is very key. And thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
I'm Kweku Apia Bossman, and so Kweku Botu Apia Bossman. It's a long one, so I tend to
forgive me for calling you Bossman.
No. That majority, about 99% of the people call me Bossman. I'm very much okay. So it's KB Bossman. Okay. So that is the media name and everything that I do. And also in terms of, I wear a couple of hats. Not just the media and radio presentation or being a host on the program. I also happen to be a minister of the gospel as well.
Wow.
And also at the same time, I am a UN peace ambassador as well. So I do a lot of charity stuff as well. And I love properties in as much as it's rewarding, is very challenging, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. So also I love football. That's one of my when on a day that I wouldn't say, you will not get me being sad, or you not see me being sad. I'm a very positive person. So football is one of the things that you can wake me up with.
Really?
Anytime.
Wow, good. Fantastic. Okay.
Yes. So yeah, and I've got a fantastic family and friends that always inspire me. So it's been good. And with our background as coming from, I was born in Ghana, and coming from a family of 5, it was dad was an entrepreneur, and he did so much in terms of he was a food and drink scientist.
Wow.
And combining the things that he did, I'll say he became sort of a national hero. But then that we can talk about that later on, based on what he was able to achieve and invent. And also mom was more also of an entrepreneur. So it was difficult. It's like it's in the blood. So it's been a difficult journey when I came into this country, and getting into that working 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It became something like a burden for some time, but I had to. And I've been in also the facilities industry for close to over a decade, about 12, 13 years. Working with some of the big industries as a regional manager and all those stuff. So from that point, that is when I got into property, and it's been a good journey so far.
Fantastic. Thanks very much for that insight. And I would love to hear about your dad, national hero. It must be very interesting. So obviously, as an entrepreneur, I really understand where he's coming from, because you want to take control of your decision making as well as your future. So I totally understand that. It's in your blood, basically. It's literally engraved in you. So I really feel that. Exactly myself, when I started working, obviously I got that in me, so I couldn't really stand people instructing me or telling me what to do, when to go on holiday and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I really relate to that. I can't wait to hear about your dad as well as your property journey. So if you could tell the audience a little bit, how did you start and scale your property investment journey to the portfolio you've got right now? Because I know you're doing really, really well in the south of England. So if you could just tell us a little bit of background of how you got started and how you take your property investment journey to the next level.
Okay, so thank you for that, Rahim.
Welcome.
I got fully focused on properties. If I say fully focused, getting my hands on deck, putting my hands on deck and working throughout, even though one had one or two properties, you were like, none of us really saw that potential until we pounced on a couple of friends. I was working with a gentleman who was a broker, and he had been in the industry for long and had invested as a broker and also as a solicitor. So we started talking about, you know what, we can go large, we can get things done. And so I was doing more like a referral for him for mortgages.
Right, okay.
And then we added like maintenance side of it. So we take the contract and then we subcontract to the professionals, and then they come in and we manage the project.
Right.
So we get the mortgage, and then if there's a refurb, we take care of the refurb through our third parties and then get things done. Okay. So we did that 1, 2, and so I said to my friend that that's good. This is looking good. It's quite rewarding. So let's see what we can do. So we had plans, and lo and behold, I lost my dad along the way. I think 2017 or something like that.
Oh, sorry.
And so we went back to Ghana to give him a befitting burial, and we came back. And when we came back, my friend was like, you know what? I think I spent about a month. That's the longest time I've been away from UK. So I came back and my friend was like, before I went, we had a client that we've been able to get her a very good deal, and the property needed a good refurb from top to bottom.
Right.
So we were sort of interviewing the contractors to use. That was a big job as well. I think almost about 100K or so. So it was quite big. So when I came back, he said, "Oh, we've had issues because you've not been around and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah." And that got us to a place that, I said, let's get this done and then we can find a way out. It did not work out because whilst I was away, my friend got into other things instead of focusing on the client. So it turned out to be so bad. So we decided to go our separate ways. And from there, that is when I focused to build from sourcing and then rent to rent.
Wow, okay.
Sourcing and rent to rent. And so getting into rent to rent, I had just the idea. I had watched videos as well, but I said, you know what? I can do this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I needed a mentor.
Right.
You understand? And one major thing, I'll land in a minute. One major thing that pushed me into property is that, and also the radio, is the fact that I said, there's so much opportunity, huge opportunities for our community, but we see people like our people, they do 9 to 5, come back, watch TV, sleep, go to bed. It's like a cycle.
Yeah.
So how can we get this message across?
Right.
So apart from getting the rent to rent, I said, you know what? I wasn't satisfied. I still wanted to get people on board.
Right.
That is when I got into the radio space and I said, you know, I think the educational side will help people much better than myself speaking to one, two people.
Yeah.
And so alongside the rent to rent and the sourcing, that is how I got into the radio side to get our people to wake up and take the opportunities that are available to them.
Wow, that's an amazing story there itself. So, you know, it's we all literally get driven by two things, either pain or pleasure. For you, probably is that pain with your business partner who did not do what you've agreed to do, then gets you to start thinking about how you can do something else. And then obviously you jump onto rent to rent and deal sourcing. Rent to rent is what I started myself, to be honest, from a pain point. So I relate to that. Because when I was working, I hated what I was doing, and I didn't have lots of money, and I was told always I needed lots of money to actually start my property investment journey. Only to find I bumped into a video as well online about rent to rent, and then obviously, and again, similar thing as you did, get a coach, get a mentor to guide me along the way, and then it was able to expedite my process. So you're absolutely right. So, and I think you're doing amazing there as well by helping people aware about property investing. I totally agree with you where you said our people or most of the people in the UK are just busy on doing their 9-to-5 job. They're not thinking about generating passive income. So, and again, you can see now with prices going up significantly and salaries being the same, if you haven't got a passive income, you would really struggle to actually survive. So again, doing properties is one of the things that would help you get that passive income, and then obviously, and then reinvest that, and then it helps you build that sort of business that you are doing. And again, I really appreciate that, bro, because I get to know you because of the radio station.
Yes.
And you're doing really, really well there, and you're working with different people to actually do what you're doing. I commend you for that. Keep going and keep doing it. You're really impacting people. You're impacting people positively, and I can see the views and comments on those videos. So yeah, so I really appreciate you doing that. So in terms of your sourcing side of the business, then how are we getting on with that? Because I know now you have multiple sources of income streams, and obviously you've just about to close a deal, a refurbishment deal, I think is in London. And obviously one of your investors are also about to close a deal that they would like you to come on and do the works. You know, so someone who is just about to start their property investment journey, what advice would you give someone who is thinking or procrastinating or doesn't really know what to do? What advice would you give them today for them to start their property investment journey?
Thank you for that, Rahim, and for the compliment as well. I believe that if you're going to be watching, if you pounce on this video, one thing I will tell you is that you've got to make your mind up. You know, the battles of life are won in the mind. The mindset is the battleground. You can win or lose in your mind. And you see, I believe that champions are not champions because they are very strong and they train so hard. But there's one thing, the mindset makes the difference. And so if you are watching and you want to get into property, it is so rewarding, it is thrilling, but if you start on the wrong foot, you will never be able to enjoy it. But I'll say that it's doable, because if people like us have been able to do it, you can do it, and even much more, because we will be the stepping stones for you. Because you get more videos now than ever. Talk about 10 years ago, there wasn't much videos to lay your hands on, and the price you have to pay to learn or to be mentored was crazy. You understand? So these are some of the things that number one is your mindset. Number two, I'll say that you have to set a goal. Get a goal set for yourself. That you are working 9 to 5, you don't just have to jump out of it. No. When I was getting out of the facilities industry, I had to start my own facilities company.
Right.
Whilst I was working there, and gradually I had to exit.
Yeah.
So that way, one thing is that, Rahim, majority of the people don't understand entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Because the thing, sometimes we are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You get out of a rewarding job and then jump into something that you are going to start all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be resilient.
Yeah.
You've got to be resilient.
Absolutely.
Because if you set a goal, for the goal to be achieved, I always ask a question that how many people, God forbid, how many people you see your son or your baby or your daughter on the river is taking them away. Would you say because you don't know how to swim, you're going to stand by the banks of the river and watch them, the river take them away? No. Because of that passion, you will do what? You will jump into that river and grab them. That is being focused on the goal. Being focused on the goal. Very key, very important. If you're focused on the goal and not distracted, you'll be able to achieve it. Now, the other thing is get knowledge.
Yeah.
Get knowledge. Get knowledge.
Yeah.
I've interviewed a lot of people that some of them have read in their lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
They've read about 1,500 books.
Yeah.
They are 42 years of age. This guy is 42 years of age, and he's read 1,500 books.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
And so the area you choose, you have to, and these days, technology has made it easy for us to get all these Audible and audiobooks. It's there. You can play it whilst driving. You can listen to it whilst you're at home.
Yeah.
So you get knowledge in the area that you want to start with. So there's a lot more, but because of time. So these are some of the things that you need to look at and get yourself into the space or environment where you'll be motivated.
Yeah.
Then there's one it's a cliche, but it's also it's the valid truth, is that your network is your net worth. Because
Absolutely.
the people you connect to, if I didn't know Rahim, there are certain things that I've watched you do, I've learned, I've written some of them down. I've watched your videos on Facebook. Some of them 10 minutes, some of them 5 minutes, and you give valid information.
Yeah.
I learn from everything, from children, from the environment, from every day. I try so much to learn at least one thing. And with that, you are empowered, and nobody can take that from you. But the key thing is your network is your net worth.
Fantastic. Yeah, you're absolutely right there. I relate to you. I had a training with a gentleman called Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And in that training, he told us that to be successful in whatever adventure you do, is the mindset, right? The mindset is key. What he said to us, he said 90%, right, of success is mindset, right?
Exactly.
He said it's only 10% is the skill. And then I was thinking, is that really true? But looking back, what he's told me is true, because if you haven't got the mindset, right, when things goes hard, you quit, right?
Yeah.
So I really relate to that. I understand that. So you have to have that mindset. And just to add on to what you just said, for you to be in that sort of mindset, sometimes you feel lonely, right?
Exactly.
But networking with people that are doing similar or what you're doing or ahead of you gets you to be in that mindset. Because you have to be surrounded by people who are doing exactly what you're doing, right?
Exactly.
That is really, I relate to that. It has happened to me. I used to live in Croydon, where you are now, but because the people I surrounded myself with wasn't thinking the same way I did, it was difficult for me to do, but I had to move. I have to segregate myself or move away from people are thinking about when is the next football game playing, where do we go out clubbing, buying expensive trainers. I used to have 21 trainers in one time, and I only wear one of them, believe it or not. And again, because the people I surrounded myself with were thinking that way. Right. And again, when I move away from that sort of environment, my mind started to change, and my mindset become a bigger mindset. And then I had people that are inspiration to me. Right. I have multi-millionaires that are doing property investment. I have people still doing really well in the property game as well as investment industry. I met better people, friendlier people, people that will push me to the next level. So I really relate to that. If you're thinking about investing in properties, you have to surround yourself with people that would get you to where you want to go. You touched on one thing also before we go to the next question. You talked about focus, right? Focus is key. Right. Yes. I remember watching an interview with Bill Gates. They asked him if there's one thing, what is the one thing that made him successful? The only thing he said was focus. Right. He said, if you're focusing your aims and objective, you will get there no matter what. The same question was asked to Warren Buffett. What is the one thing that made you successful? And again, he pointed out focus. When I heard that message, right, I had to really re-strategize. Right. Yes. And then I started with rent to rent. Right. I said, now rent to rent is my thing. Right. Yeah. Whatever strategies comes to my inbox, I delete. I keep deleting everything. I focused on rent to rent, nothing else. Rent to rent, rent to rent, rent to rent. One, because I wanted to focus, and second, I didn't have money to buy a house then. Okay. So I focused into that. Right. And then I deleted everything. Then everybody knew me for rent to rent. If you come to Cardiff, talk about rent to rent, people refer you to buy properties. That then becomes my baby. And then that's what helps me to actually branch out in so many areas. And talking about education, I will tell you now, education is key, right? The reason why I'm saying education is key, basically, I made a mistake, right? I'm going to put my hands up and tell you about that. I started rent to rent, got enough money. I wanted to do buy, refurbish, and refinance, right? I went and I thought because I know rent to rent, it's fine. It's all properties. I went and bought a property, the wrong place, the wrong location, the wrong size. Everything was wrong in the property, right? I ended up being a laborer, and that property cost me about 60 to 70,000 pounds loss.
Oh my.
Okay. Literally, I don't want to go banging on that, but literally I lost that amount of money. And guess what? I paid someone else to train me, right? And again, so to me, my experience is, it's always cheaper to pay for your education than your mistake. It happens to me personally. And you're absolutely right where you talk about the videos as well. When I started mentorship program, you're talking about 50,000 pounds. The person I approached to mentor me told me, because I wanted one-to-one, he said, listen, you can't, it's 50,000 pounds. Yeah. Right. I was thinking 50,000 pounds, that was a lot of money then. I did not have it, but the cheapest person who was doing it was doing one-to-many, and that was about 12,500 pounds. Okay. So it was very expensive. But and again, I had to take something to literally educate myself to get me to the next level, because I've already gone through that. I was able to get someone not as expensive as the other people were, and then gets me to learn even better than I would have learned from the people who are charging 50,000 pounds or so. So you're absolutely right. If you're getting into properties, get someone to either guide you, mentor you, coach you, take you to the next level, or educate yourself. Watch videos, but to get a mentor helps you, because most of the videos online have gaps in the education as well. So get someone to actually guide you, to actually help you take the property investment to your next level. And also then, Bossman, how do you really, I know you're doing so many stuff. You've got your radio station, you've got your refurbishment, you've got your rent to rent, you've got your deal sourcing, you're literally all over the place. So how are you being able to actually focus and scale your business to the next level?
Right. Okay. So that is a very good question. And many a times we think that we can do almost everything. I started off that way because I saw opportunities. So I was always trying to get bits here, bit there. And for a minute, I realized that, you know what, I was getting a bit too tired, and there's not much that is achieved, in a day. And so I said, I sat down. I had a conversation with, I think, one of my guys about how, I mean, I can get a VA. No, initially I wanted somebody to do just all admin, but I'm on the go. I'm a field person on hands-on, and I said, okay, if I get that, that will be quite straightforward. So I sat down. I'm trying to remember the exact year. I sat down one beginning of the year and listed the areas, the strategies that I can get into. You know something? By the time I finished, it was almost about 10 of them.
Wow.
So I said, okay, how can I get into all this? I will break my focus.
Yeah.
So I said to myself that, okay, I did a scale of preference as into which ones I can do directly and which ones I can do referral.
Yeah.
So that it will not be coming. I mean, I'll just have to, it's just a phone call.
Yeah.
When that comes through, a phone call, okay, let me hold on for me, and then I will redirect. So that is how I was able to break away from a lot of them. And then I did my own, how do you call it? My own setup, as in the back office and like the VA that I'm talking about, the admin. And so they took on those responsibilities to take away that weight that I was carrying all around every time.
Right.
You understand? So that is one of the ways that I had to structure myself in a way that I don't take on that much. And what I cannot really get into, just like as you said, before I even say that, just as you said, I've made some huge mistakes that has costed me, seriously, I mean, tens of thousands as well. So therefore I said, you know what? I have to make sure that I get to do what I can do.
Absolutely.
And what I cannot do, I'll just literally refer.
Yeah.
That goes away from me, and it keeps that sanity. It keeps me in that environment of, because if you don't have your peace, you wouldn't be able to focus and commit to whatever you're doing and get the best result out of what you're doing. So that is one of the things, how I sat down to structure myself to get the best out of what where my strength is where I focused on, and how I can build gradually to those areas. So that is one of the ways that I did it. And sourcing, and I got stuck to sourcing, rent to rent, and then referrals with regards to mortgages and finance.
Okay.
And these are because the two I can refer.
Yeah.
You understand? And the other two I can work directly with.
Okay.
So that is how I was able to build things.
Fantastic. Really well done for doing that. Talking about that gets me to reminded me again about a mastermind things I do. We had a session where we said, for me also, I've got my businesses going. I have my estate agency. I've got my rent to rent. I have my renovation companies. I've got my development company, as well as my educational business as well, to impact people positively. So again, when I started thinking I cannot do all of these things. So what I did was to start with my mastermind group. We've learned on either you can eliminate, like what you did, eliminate some of the tasks. We then delegate, right? So what I did basically, I had my estate agency, right? I've got my staff working in my estate agency. And then obviously I've got my virtual assistant, I have my administrator. So I delegate and get people to do stuff that I don't want to do or I can't do, for example. It's very key when it comes to property investing. So I then concentrate in doing value added tasks, meaning things that could bring joy to me as well as simultaneously bring money to my business. Right? So that will bring money back to my business. So that's what we concentrate. So it's very key if you want to scale your business to the next level, to concentrate on tasks that would add value to the business instead of tasks that are just administration stuff. Like what you've just done. I have my VA, I have my administrator, I have people working with me to allow me to release me to actually do an interview like this that would impact people a lot more in a better and a fairer way.
More like division of labor. So you have a structure in place and a system that'll be able to work effectively, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So also I know you do deal sourcing as well. You've referred us to some deals. We've got some deals and we've worked with you with few deals. So what does deal sourcer know and buy to let investor do not know? Because sometimes deal sources, right, and property investor tend to collide, especially when they present their deal to the investor. There's always some differences there. What do you reckon deal sourcer know that property investor or buy to let investor do not know?
So that's a brilliant question and a quite interesting one. Deal sources are out there to get they are more like the short-term guys. They get a deal, sell it on, and then walk away. So they do their job within that short space of time. You understand? And then for the investor, the investor is more or less the long term. You understand? The investor is there from conception to completion. So at the end of the day, they are going to go through the mill or the process to make sure that the end result or the end goal is achieved. And that is where the difference is. You understand? But the deal sourcer, sometimes, if the one thing that I've found out is that majority of the investors want the deal sources to give them all the information. So that the due diligence, more or less, some investors don't want to be doing their due diligence the way they have to do it. They want you to present every detail on their table.
Right.
But I think that's a lazy way of investing. Because if I present maybe a £3 million deal to you, lucrative, GDV, brilliant, and you look at just my figures and you don't go into details as to get the background of the whole deal, I can present something to you. It might look lucrative, but in the end, if you're not on the ground to do your own due diligence, you'll be found wanting. So therefore, coming to your question, it's not too tricky, but I think this is my own opinion.
Of course.
Yeah. Is the fact that sources are more or less fast food joints. Please permit me and forgive me for using that word for sources. I mean, it's not every source, but majority. So therefore, they want to get in and get out. And if an investor comes in and try to drag them along, they get not just bored, but they can't be bothered. They'll just move their deal away from you. Meanwhile, some investors want to come in and more or less they are like babies. They want you to spoon feed them and get them and put them to bed quietly. But that is not how to work. If everybody does their job properly, there will not be any conflict. There will be understanding. Everybody will walk away happy. There's a relationship that will be established and a good network that everybody will be able to um, uh, always benefit from. So
Right.
it's a huge responsibility, but it's also, it can be a very rewarding journey as well.
Wow, fantastic. Yes. Well, I am both sides of the coin. Okay. I have a deal sourcing company. My agency source deals, and we co-source with lots of deal sources. And obviously, I am an investor as well as someone who knows both sides of the angle, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
Just secured a hotel that we're converting into 15 apartments. So I understand where you're coming from. For the deal sourcing perspective, you're absolutely right. Deal sources, once they go in, get their money and gone, basically. But sometimes we tend to struggle with how the deal sources analyze the deals. And I understand where the investor is coming from, saying, I need that postcode. I need that details for me to be able to analyze the deal, for me to know if the deal works for me. Right. And then where the confusions come, then the deal sourcer wants you to pay 50% or 25% or the whole amount before he releases the postcode. Exactly. Right. So for me personally, I think the deal sourcer should release that information, because without that postcode, you can't analyze the deal. Right. And you and I know most deal sources would inflate the figures for it to look nice. It's not like they're doing bad things, but it's just like if you're selling a product, you want it to look nicer, right? Yeah. But at the same time, if you're doing that, right, if you want to sell that deal, you have to provide not all the information, obviously, right? But you have to provide that little bit of information to allow the investor, like ourselves, to look at the deal and see whether this is a deal for them or not before paying anything down. For example, my deal sourcing company and Bar Properties, what we do, we release the postcode immediately, right? We say, this is the postcode, summary of the deal, you go and do your due diligence. We don't ask you for anything. All we ask you to do is to sign an NDA.
But that is, we're sorry to cut in, but that is where, if you have secured the other end, the landlord side fully, and you are the sort of the mandate from the vendor side, if you're the mandate, like you're the only sourcer on board, you understand? Because some investors have other options. So therefore, if they are not exclusive to you, you give them the details, they go out there and they cut you out.
Right. Okay. So that's the reason when we're doing the deals, if we're direct to vendor, we get the vendor to sign exclusivity with us, to give us 6 to 12 weeks to sell the property on their behalf, or a written statement saying we're allowed to do this, right? Yeah. And then before the investor go and view the property, we sign with the investor also an NDA, right? So they can get the details, analyze it, but we've got that exclusivity. I know we've got the odd one out that would go behind your back, try to do a deals, but anyone who does that is not an experienced or mature investors. All the investors I've worked with, they won't go behind my back to do deals, but at the same time, they always come back to me with the information, and we don't ask for anything. All we ask for, once you've got that, you don't need analysis, before you go and view the property, we would need 25% off the sourcing fee, right? So to speak, we don't ask for all the money up front. This is where the confusion comes, because as an investor, I had that issue when I started. I said to myself, how can I pay you £5,000 for a deal I don't even know whether it works for me or not? You understand my point of view? So obviously, I was able to satisfy some investors who were struggling in that regard. So we were able to close lots of deals on that basis. But you're absolutely right. The investors wants to just get their money and then walk away, and then the deal sourcer wants to get the money and walk away, and the investor wants to know whether they're buying a solid investment. But again, that's how we've been able to handle that sort of situation, and we've got lots of co-sourcers like yourselves as well. If I remember correctly, we did sign an NDA together just to let you know that we're not going to go behind your back and try to close the deals. So I think that's the way to do it. I think deal sources are doing amazing, but at the same time, they should allow the property investor, because they're buying a property here, right? It's not a cake or probably a biscuit. It's something that's going to be there for a lifetime. So it's good for them to have that information to do their due diligence.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and also your enthusiasm, energy, that's what draws me to you, Bossman. When I first met you, when I first talked to you, you're really energized, you're really motivated. I just wanted to know, or for you to, I'd like you to share to our audience, what really keeps you going without losing your enthusiasm.
Thank you for that. A couple of things, but my main inspiration is I'm a Christian, and that my main inspiration comes from the Bible. There are portions of the books of the Bible that is filled with so much motivation, and everything that we talk about in life, you'll find out that it's in there, and it inspires me. It's just like you're Muslim. I know the Quran has got portions like that motivates, encourages the same way. So that is my foundation. And from practicing or focusing or meditating on these words has nurtured me, or has formed me, or I have become naturally a motivator. Wow. It's quite difficult to bring me down, as in give me a bad day, because I read certain books that inspired me to say, the mindset, if let's say you're having a bad day, I don't believe there's any bad day. Because the day was made for you.
Correct.
You understand? But you can choose to make it good or bad. And in life, we have choices to make.
Correct.
And the mindset is like a lift. It can take you up or take you down.
Right.
So therefore, for you to be able to have the best of times is for you to choose, number one, what you read, what you watch, who you surround yourself with, your environment, very key. Because if you don't choose, like as you mentioned about the environment that you were in and trainers and all those stuff, that was the order of the day. People want to see you in trainers, and not knowing that we call something in Ghana that people that buy flashy cars, but they are not, they don't have any sort of business or something credible behind it. We call the cars companies on wheels.
Wow.
Companies on wheels. So therefore, a whole company, you are driving a whole company. So the amount you use in buying the vehicle can set up a company. So
wow, that's a good way of putting it.
You understand? So therefore, you can be with people that believe in cars. They invest in cars. That if the car breaks down, I had an accident in 2005 or 6. Yes, 2005 or 6. Up in Coventry, and I was very upset with the gentleman. He was trying to abscond, and so I blocked him and I said, "You're not going anywhere." But he nearly killed me anyway. But the thing is that one statement from a police officer when he came, and I was complaining that this guy, what he did and did, blah, 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 he was trying to outsmart and all the stuff. He said, "Gentlemen, why are you so upset? This guy is just a piece of metal." And from that day, it changed my mind.
Wow.
About cars. Now, you can have the most beautiful car, which you've got a very beautiful Tesla that is the only one in Cardiff. So congratulations to you. It's a very good one.
Thank you.
And let me say that from that moment, it taught me as to what can make you happy and what cannot. Yes, you can enjoy the car, but the car cannot make you happy.
Correct.
So therefore, you've got to get things that will give you motivation and build upon it, so that when storms come, challenges come, you are not moved. You know that you can get solutions out of it. That is where you can build yourself to a point that car is a liability, but at the same time, it is also a vehicle to take you to and fro for you to get to what you want to achieve.
Correct.
So if you get to a point that you can afford it, why not enjoy the best of life? I believe in that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're not there yet, there are things that you get into that will make you sad the rest of your life.
Of course.
So therefore, I tend to invest myself in things that will build me emotionally, mentally, then come to the physical side of things, and also spiritually as well, which is very key. So you've got to build it to get your mind. Your mind is the engine of growth that will build your life for you. So you feed it with the right stuff.
Yeah.
You will never be sad. You always be energetic, focused, always motivated, and nobody can stop you. You can't have a bad day. You can have challenges, but a bad day, you choose which day will be bad or good.
Wow, fantastic. Very inspiring answer that is. So again, it's all about enthusiasm. As you said, you really relate and connect to the Bible, which keeps you going. And the example about that matter with the police officer also is a very good example. So I love that. So for me, as I've told you earlier, and it's the same thing when I was in London. I knew someone who was only working for his car, basically, right?
Oh,
he lives in a shared house. He bought a very expensive car, and he's literally every paycheck to paycheck. He takes expensive things. And I wanted to segregate myself from those sort of people. Hence the reason why because I used to have lots of stuff. When I used to go to the gym, I have to have the same outfit. It has to be matching outfit. Okay. I've got even the drink, even my energy drink used to be matching. Right? It has to be perfect for me. But obviously I realized that wasn't life. Okay. So I had to segregate myself. As I said, cars take you to point A from point B.
Yeah.
So it's not about seeing someone drive an expensive car or live in an amazing house. You're thinking, wow, he's rich, right? Some of these people are only working for these things. As you said, they are liabilities. Okay. Yeah. When I got my car, like I know I'm way sorted before I get it. That was delayed gratification. I was in BMW Series 1. I was proud of it, right?
No, yours, no. You see, like Rahim, the car you've got can last you, possibly if you want to keep it for 10 years or whatever years. It is an electric car. It is something that is, number one, is helping even the environment.
Yeah.
You understand? You are going to save on fuel.
A lot.
And it's also a luxury at the same time that will even keep you healthy. Exactly. At the same time. One of my friends said that if you get a good car, a car of your choice or that you desire so much, it can even cut your blood pressure. It will cut it down.
Wow.
It's quite funny, but you've got to go for what you really like, but are you at that level to get it? Fantastic. That is one thing. Delayed gratification. If I'm not there yet, I don't have to force myself to get it.
Right, absolutely. So
I'm not in competition.
So exactly the same thing. I delayed my gratification, right?
Exactly.
So I worked really, really hard, and I ensured I have assets that can look after that car. Right.
Exactly.
So that car is an asset to my business. It does a lot for my business, and it doesn't cost me a penny. Okay, it doesn't cost me anything because I've created assets that can look after it. So I've learned this also for when I started. Before you buy a liability or before you buy anything, you need to make sure you've got something that will generate you income to allow that asset to happen. Again, this car does exactly that. And again, it's fuel efficient, electric. It used to cost me about £60. Now it would be 70 or 80 pounds to literally top my fare up with my BMW. And that's one of the economical cars. And for this car, it cost me about £12. Right?
What?
£12.
And you're not paying
have a full charge.
There's no road tax with it, isn't it?
Exactly. And I can drive it, go wherever I want. And if I charge it at home, right, overnight, it costs me about £1.50.
Oh my.
Right. So again, these are the sort of thing you could do to actually take your business to the next level.
Exactly.
Right. And you have to delay that gratification, bro. Right. If you're listening or watching me from Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or my podcast, listening to that, delay gratification is what gets you there. As you just talked there, as you just said, Bossman, it is not a competition, right?
No.
It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. You've got your own journey. As long as today is better than yesterday, and you progress, like what you just said just now, you learn single thing every single day, you're moving. You're moving. Yeah. Delay your gratification. Don't see your friend buy an expensive car or an expensive house. You want to go and do the same thing. You have to be patient. Let yourself be in that position to be able to get it. If you want to buy a car or a home, make sure you have an asset that will generate you a passive income to sustain that property or that car you are buying. Absolutely the best way to actually do it. So thanks very much for actually sharing that, Bossman. Really appreciate that. You talk about hard times, about your dad passing and things like that. I am definitely inspired by someone who have overcome hard time. Do you mind sharing a time or event that was really hard time for you and how you overcame it?
Right. Okay. So with my dad, he started off quite early, young. He was, let me say, unfortunately, I don't. People would not want to hear the name Russia. He was our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Got a bunch of Ghanaians to be trained in the Soviet Union, the then Soviet Union. So he got trained there, and as a food and drink scientist, he came back and got the president gave him the position to handle the national distilleries. Now he was able to introduce some foreign made drinks that turned the fortunes of the company around.
Wow.
And as a government institution. And so he was rewarded. He was given a national award for doing that at that time. We're talking about just before the 70s. We're talking about that. And so right after that, when Dr. Nkrumah was overthrown, he got out of that and started the first private distillery company with a couple of friends in there. And they did amazing stuff. And from there, he was also, he was a multi-tax person, as in got himself into farming on a big, large scale. And he got into, at that time, we had gotten into brick roofing tiles, like what we do here in the UK. Yeah. So he got a company from France to do a joint venture. Now, as they were going to launch, that particular company had an exhibition to attend. They attended, and at that time, the president of that time, the wife had an organization that helped women. And so they saw the French company. They wanted to do partnership. They said, no, we signed an MOU with this person. And if you can convince him to work with you, we will be able to work with you. From that point, they had a meeting with my dad. He said he doesn't want any political interference. So from that point, that is where, they crashed his business. So he had to lose a lot. And they got him into all kinds of issues, and then he had to withdraw a lot as to the factories he had and things that he was doing in the public domain. And this particular project that was almost ready to go, he had to withdraw everything. And so that is when the challenges started. Right. It's like flying so high, and he got grounded by politics. Yeah. And so that is when we started to struggle as a people. But hey, we didn't give up. He was an inspiration because he said that, you know what, there's more in me that I have to offer if I'm given the opportunity. And privately, he was helping people set up, and he did quite a lot. He would take water and turn it into anything you can think of.
Wow.
And he did quite a lot. So we had those challenges, and that is because he studied also in the UK. So he said no, he didn't want us to travel. Now we did not want to, but when that happened, he said, you know what, I have no choice, but you guys have to take that step and find something for yourselves. So that's how come some of us came here and the others went to the US and all those stuff. And that is the family side being challenged. It's not ideal, but it's okay. It's a good environment, but there's no place like home better, where you can do a lot. And yeah.
Wow.
So
that is truly inspirational. So on top of all that, you're able to literally migrate from Ghana, settle here in the UK, and you're doing amazing with your property investment journey, as well as you being there inspiring people through your channels. So commend you for that. So thank you so much for actually sharing that personal thing with us. I'm pretty sure some of us will relate to this, and there's always that hard time. If you don't keep your acts together, you lose it. So many people would end up having a mental problem as a result. But for you, I think I commend you for coming out of that, not just coming out of that, being a minister in your church as well, or things like that. So it's truly inspirational to me. So thanks for sharing that. Last question before we do the quick, fun fire questions, okay? In the investment property world, right, business, social media, I see in the first world problem. The first world problem is like overwhelming. So many things happening in social media. Everybody's throwing everything at you. You see people driving amazing cars. It's like they share their lavish life, buy houses left, right, and center. Right? It's really overwhelmed and distracting to so many people. So how do you deal with overwhelm? Because managing things like this sometimes is really frustrating. So how can people really get rid of that sort of overwhelm and stay focused in their journey?
Yeah, I believe that the first thing that if you want to achieve anything in life, you have to have a plan. Set a goal, have a plan, break it down, and work towards it. But most especially, you have to focus. Because when distraction comes in and you don't have a good foundation, you'll be carried away. Now, I'm saying that because if you are not a content person, that you are contented with what you have now, more or less like the delayed gratification concept. If you don't have that at the back of your mind, you will go for everything and you will fall for anything. And you will find yourself following people that on social media, they'll post something, but in the real life, they are not.
Absolutely.
And you'll be taken away with their lifestyle and you'll be getting into all kinds of trouble. So personally, I'm not a greedy person. I can walk away from $1 billion deal. If the person I'm going on to the table with is a greedy person, that person is a dangerous person. So I can't work with that person. I will walk away from $1 billion deal. And in every project that I've gone on, I've been part of, that is one of the major statements I make. Whether you like it or not, I'll make it. If you want us to do a joint venture, I'll make that statement. So if you are working with greedy people, it's difficult. They are dangerous people. So you've got to be content with what you have and focus on what you want to do. If not, you'll be tossed by the wind of social media, show off, and all kinds of flashy things that do not even last.
Right, I know, you're absolutely right. Some people live double life, aren't they? So they've got a different life in social media, and then they've got their real life app. So as I guess again, that comes back to focus. So many noises around there, but it's all about you focusing in what you do, and then obviously concentrate. Thank you so much for answering that question as well. You nailed it. So this is the quick fire round question, right? It's just a simple question, either
Okay.
yes or no, or answering, giving a short answer so that we could wrap it up then. And then obviously we can then see what we can do about it. So the first question is, what is the worst advice you remember receiving?
Oh, I'll say I asked a friend about, I mean, he was in properties for a while ahead of me. He wasn't an investor, but I was trying to find out from him that can I do this and other. Yeah. He gave me a blanket answer.
Right.
So I said, okay, that's what he said, so I can do it. And I jumped into a PLO,
Right.
and you know what? I didn't read the lines. I didn't really get that much information, and the thing bounced back on me, and as
Right.
if I had done. I it's to the person, they were looking at this like you've not been honest
Right.
with us on this particular deal,
Mm-hmm.
because some my friend that I was depending on did also not give me
The
a
information you
good
required.
information that I required. So yeah, I made that kind of mistake, and I don't think I'll ever repeat it again.
Fantastic. Good to know. Best advice you remember receiving?
Oh, hmm, uh, it's from what's his name? I have a friend. I'm trying to recall his name. What he said is that, you know what, you are able to do what you do with ease. I believe that when you get into properties, you've got a good network. Yes, it's from a young man called Kevin, and Kevin, from the conversation I had with him, and he's a young man. Little did I know that he was quite inspired by what I was doing, which I thought was, I mean, I was just doing it for doing its sake. And
Yeah.
he was like, no, you've got a very good network. You can do a lot with that. And I
Yeah.
said, you know what? Yeah, I don't like disturbing people. So I don't want to get into that space. He said, you know what? Go for it. Do
Wow.
it. And to be quite honest, that has kept me going as a good advice, and I've used it a lot.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for that. Who is your favorite sports star?
Oh, do you mean those that are current? I mean, currently?
It could be current, previous, whatever. Who is your favorite sports star that you'd like? Well, favorite.
Oh, Thierry Henry.
Thierry Henry. Whoa, that's a good one.
That's
That's a
my
good
man.
one.
That's my man. Legend.
Right.
He's a legend. He's a legend.
Fantastic. Okay.
He's a legend.
Good. Looking back at your 18 years self, what would you
Mm.
have done differently?
Committed to learning, I mean, reading more, studying. Because when I was growing up, my dad asked us a question, what do you want, what do you want to become? I said I wanted to be a pilot. And guess what? I was scared of heights. So
I like that.
so how can somebody that was scared of heights be a pilot, you know?
Yeah.
And he was like, are you sure about what you're saying?
Yeah.
So I believe that from age 18, I wouldn't have gotten into a lot of the, youthful kind of vices that you get into,
Yeah.
um, drinking, getting yourself into all kinds of unnecessary talks, and now is a waste of time.
Yeah.
I could have used that to read more. I love reading, but I
Okay.
believe that I would have been at a better, much better place. There's one of my uncles quickly that, I mean, he was a bookworm, and he will always come and say, "How many books have you read this this month? have you read the page today? Have you read? And we were like, Uncle Ben, what's all this about? But hey, I thought I believe that I would have done better if I had continued from that point to read more and study more. That would have been much better for me.
Fantastic. Thank you. What was your inspiration growing up? I think you said pilots. Is there any other thing what was really inspiring you growing up?
To see, I love to help.
Okay.
I love to help, and charity has been part of me from my young age. I will give anything to help people. And one thing I hate is poverty.
Right.
I hate it with passion. And so I always tell people that I'm doing business. I'm not doing business because I want to be rich and show off. No, I'm doing this because I want to make a change. I'm doing this because I want to see people's life change, people's life transform. Poverty, I believe, is a crime, and we need to come together and eradicate poverty. And so that's my motivation. I want to help. I want to see people's life change and transform. I've been in charity from early 90s. Wow. And I believe that I will be able to continue as much as I get the grace.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. I truly relate to that. Charity, poverty, I was told that to born poor is not a crime, but to die poor is really a crime, because it's your responsibility, duty, and obligation to take your financial future into your own hands. Yeah. So I really, really relate to that. So who is or was your role model growing up?
Right. Okay. So there's a mix. My dad, he's been resilient in spite of all that. He was born alone, like the only child.
Wow.
And so he was always like, I have nobody to reason with, and except you guys. And I've not had a big brother or a big sister. It's just me. And with what he went through, I think he was always positive. He was always positive when, even before we lost him, he was very, very positive. So I that tells me that in life you have no choice than to stay focused, but to give up is not an option.
No.
That has been my inspiration.
Right. Okay. So your biggest regret?
Oh, some of the decisions with regards to, as I said earlier on, with some purchase lease option, where I took for granted some of the agreement details, and also because I knew the person, I took it as, you know what, it's okay to take their word for it and work with them. But I realized that they didn't, not that they didn't mean what they said, but it turned out that I had not done my homework well.
Right.
So I was being blamed for the whole deal, and that costed me quite a lot, almost like 80.
Wow. Okay. I hope you don't make that regret. I hope you don't make that mistake again. So
I mean, never.
Yeah, carry on. No, carry on.
No, I was saying that never. I mean, I don't have to.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. No worries. So if there's anything I could do from my end as well in the future, let me know. I'm happy to help with that as well.
Definitely.
Is there something you believe that lots of people disagree with?
The reality of, strategies.
Yeah.
Because there's a bit of a conflict between the traditional estate agents, and the property structure, and the new concept of, or the new world of property strategies.
Yeah.
And when you don't get people that understand the new strategies, they think that you're in your own world and doing something that is out of this world.
Yeah.
And so that there's a bit of a conflict with that. There's a challenge that people don't understand. So there's a misunderstanding there, which I believe those people need. They need more education on that side of things.
Right. Okay. All right. Thanks very much for that. What is the best book you've ever read or listened to?
Oh, couple of them, but if I'm to take one, is The Power of the Mind.
Wow. Okay.
The Power of the Mind. I've read two of that. That is one is, they are all Christian books, but then very inspiring with other, bringing in business stuff and other things. One is Bishop David Abioye, and also Dr. Chris Oyakhilome, The Power of the Mind. They are similar titles, but they are very, very inspiring. It pushes you through the roof, that everything in you comes out if your mind is made up. The gift and everything that you need. There's nothing outside that can make you than what is inside.
Absolutely. Does money change you?
No.
Does money make you happy?
I see it as a tool or a vehicle. I see it as a tool and a vehicle that can take me to places, but it can never give me happiness.
Okay. Is there something you used to strongly believe and you recently changed your mind on? That's a difficult one.
It is.
That is a hard word.
I will say it's the property world, the new strategy, because it looks like even purchase lease options they were not possible to do them. And if you don't get into some of these strategies, you think that it's impossible. It's made for certain kind of people. And when you can get intimidated with like people that have achieved a lot, and so they talk big about what they've done, and if you're not careful, you are like, can I even start? Because these guys have been around for years.
Yeah.
You understand? So those are some of the things that sometimes you think that, hey, it's not possible to achieve, but everything is possible in this life.
Fantastic. Is there something in the world you fundamentally think is wrong and you would like to change?
I'll say, there's a lot. But in summary,
what is the one thing that you want to fundamentally change?
I'll say, I'll say hope.
Okay.
We need to, at the same time, I said hope. We need to give people hope, but at the same time, we don't need to give hopeless hope.
Yeah.
Or shallow hope based on just imaginations, but solid hope that people can rise up to the fact that, you know what, one day I believe I can become what I have always dreamed to become or to be, and people need that inspiration to get them going. This world is at a particular stage that when you turn left and right, there are so many wrong stuff happening, from COVID to bombings to everything. It's like, are we for real? Where are we going? Where are we heading towards? You know, but that hope, if there's hope, then there's life.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, definitely. There are things that I think needs to be fundamentally changed as well. But you've just nailed it there, from COVID to now Ukraine. So nobody would have thought, but you're absolutely right on that. If that can change, it will make us live in a better place. So this podcast is called Property Investment Blueprint, right? What does Property Investment Blueprint means to you?
Wow, it's the title speaks for itself. Blueprint. That's the roadmap. That's the setup of a plan to get you somewhere, or where you've been looking to get to. So with investment, you see, I'm not somebody that I believe in saving, but I'm a firm believer that investment is much better than saving. And so investment will bring you much more than savings.
Yeah.
And so investment, as the word, as you mentioned, and the blueprint put together, and talking about property, I believe that it is a very unique strategy for everyone. And like yourself, as you kept on saying, I think one of the interviews you mentioned, the interviews when we hosted you, you mentioned that if you have done it, you believe that other people can do it. That is why you're also mentoring other people. So therefore, property investment blueprint should tell everyone that there are possibilities in every venture. And the key thing is that when you look across board, across the world, people that have made huge difference when it comes to investment are in properties.
Yeah, absolutely.
So property is a key factor. During the COVID, when we're coming, I think you said something to me just before the COVID. Sorry, I'm talking too much, but let me say this.
Carry on. I mean, it's really intriguing.
When during COVID, I think you were one of the people that inspired me. We had a conversation and you said, "Oh, Bossman, this is the best time to get people, to get them at home. They are focused, they are set in the four walls of their homes. So you can be doing much more of this programs, the Property Hour show."
Yeah.
So for a minute, because I was like, you know what, it's COVID, let me relax. And as and when. But you inspired me. Why? To talk about property, because it's a very key venture. And I said that when COVID and everything that happened, where did people go? We went back into our properties.
Yes, absolutely.
The hospitals are properties, universities, properties. Talk about everything apart from the life that we have and food. What next? So it's a vital instrument for the advancement of humanity, for us to be what we have to be or where we have to get to. So we can't do away without that. But the blueprint is very important for us to get the blueprint. But to come to the setup that you've set up, I believe it's a key thing, property investment blueprint. Super. Congratulations.
Fantastic.
I'm so proud of you.
Thanks very much, brother. I really appreciate that. Final question, right? Final one, this one is, okay, if I was to interview anybody in this show, right? Who would that person be and why?
Oh, wow. Who would that person be and why?
because obviously, as you know, this is more about inspiring people, especially millennials, to come on board, use property as a vehicle to generate passive income. As we know, lots of people are losing money in the stock shares, Bitcoin, and all the cryptos out there. So, so who do you reckon we would you'd love for me to interview that would inspire people to take the next level in their property investment journey?
You want one person, or
I can do it too.
From my little experience, I believe that on the women's side or ladies' side, there's a woman that has inspired me. So well. Her name is Toyin Davison Aaron.
Toyin Davison, yeah.
Yeah. She's the Toyin is the founder for Property Pillars Club.
Yeah.
It's a Property Pillars Club. Yeah. I believe that she's a very very, very well and endowed with knowledge, and also quite a motivation. And she's in the midst of men, but she's making it big time.
Fantastic.
And doing what she's done. It's great. It's great. It's always a joy to host her. And with the men's side, ooh, yeah. Wow. Let me take away, let me say in quote, the so-called big boys.
Yeah.
I think he's on the same, he's doing the same thing as you, but he's quite inspiring, very challenging. Samuel Akawin. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Oh, thank you so much. What a way to actually end that. Amazing way to end. And that was really special for me to know these people that you want us to get on board to interview. I'll work my way sucks to get these people on board. And yeah, thank you. Where should we follow you? Where are you hanging out in social media? If we want to buy deals from you, for example, or we want to connect with you for you to promote our businesses, for you to promote about whatever we're doing, where are the best places we could connect with you to for you to help us resolve some of the services we may require?
Okay, thank you for that, Rahim. I'm so grateful. So in terms of deal sourcing and the business side, you can connect with me on www.cigpropertyuk.com. That is our website as a company, and you send us a message there. We'll be more than happy to connect with you. But also on Facebook, you can find me, KB Bossman. Send me a message, or on Twitter, it's KB Bossman as well. And also LinkedIn as well, KBA Bossman on LinkedIn. And also on Instagram as well, it's KB Bossman. And send us a message. Most of the deals, we do send them through WhatsApp, and we're on a couple of groups as well. Okay. Where there's so much that is happening. So yeah, on these platforms. But on the show side, it's Star Radio UK. Star Radio. You can Google it, or you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Periscope, on TuneIn Radio, and our website is www.startradiouk.com. And we've got an app that's quite user-friendly and interactive. You can also download the app and listen to us on the go. The show is every Thursday, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. And you can watch, we talk about everything property, everything from, the amazing thing is that, in property, we have almost over 80 to 90 traits, different traits that are available. So we try to talk about almost every single thing. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, for sharing that. I'm sure our listeners or the people who are watching us would be in contact, because you're massive out there. You're doing really, really well in terms of sourcing your radio station. And again, if anybody wants an interview about inspiring people religiously, investment side of things, Bossman is your guy. He's a very friendly, approachable, very nice guy to actually communicate as well as work with. He is down to earth. So if you need any of the services, it's just highlighted there. Don't forget to contact him on the social media platforms as well as the website he has provided you. This has been absolutely so good, Bossman. Thank you so much for sharing your life passion with us. I love that, bro. And I really, really appreciate you. I really appreciate you being in the channel, sharing your knowledge, your expertise, as well as your personal life. I'm really humbled to have you in the Property Investment Blueprint podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rahim. And I'm grateful for the opportunity you've given me. I salute you for that.
Brilliant, bro. Thank you.
More power. All right, then. Okay.
Fantastic.